Want to learn how to use a hammerstone? Try this. So, first find you a hammerstone that is not too hard. I say that a lot. Don't use granite. Find a sandstone hammerstone. One that's got just a little bit of weight. Palm size. Okay. Okay. You don't want one too soft. You can test it by hitting concrete. I think I have that in Hammerstone, in my Hammerstone Basics video. I'm gonna try to demonstrate it here. So I'm gonna hit a dark spot on the flint. Let's see if it shows up. See that? There's two spots where it showed up. I'm gonna wipe them off. There they are. Here's one right there. See that? So it's got to give a little bit. A granite sandstone or a granite hammerstone won't do that. Okay, so it's got to give a little bit. Right? But you don't want it to crumble or break apart when you hit something. Now, when you're learning to use a hammerstone, you might be striking too hard. So you might think that your hammerstone is too soft. So you want to try a harder hammerstone, and I think that's why a lot of people go to granite. But keep the hammerstone, and when your swing speed gets right, you start getting clean flakes that come off without a bunch of ripples and stuff, and that are clean on the end of the flake where it comes off. Then you're there. You know, stick with that good soft hammerstone. So I'm going to demonstrate this on bevels. You want to learn how to, and I'm going to expand on this, I think, in another future video. Surprise, but anyway, I'm going to bevel this and then take flakes off of a bevel. A couple reasons why. One is it's the plane that I develop whenever I make the bevel is the striking angle, right? So that'll give a lot of platforms to go, you know, or, you know, it's going to give you a lot of places to strike from as you thin this. And we're just going to do this kind of unifacially. I'm not trying to make a point. I'm just trying to show you how to use a hammerstone. So I'm just going to bevel this rock to get started first. I'm going to bet this kind of got a bevel on this side. It's a piece of knife river. I like to use knife river in videos because the flakes show up real well when you take them off. And I'm just going to use this. I'm not going to use a little scrunching braiding stone, a hard, smaller one that I used to use a lot. I'm just going to use this. Something like that. We're not trying to make anything perfect. Right there. Just going to take a few flakes off that. Okay, so I'm going to try not to isolate too much. Let's see. I want to show close-ups of a platform if I can. This, let's see if it'll work. This, I want to strike right there. It's protruding and there's mass underneath. It's really thin underneath, so it might break right there. But the angle, it ain't. Can I ever make a focus looking like that? So what this does, if you make a bevel like I'm doing, and then strike on the edge to make flakes from a hammer with a hammerstone, it's going to be easier than taking flakes from a thin biface, or something that's got a thinner edge. So I'm doing this because the tendency for hammerstone first-time users is to strike on a plane above the edge, and that's why whenever they get thin, they give up and go to something else. But I want to show you that you don't need to do that. You're just going to set up this platform on the exact same, no matter how thick this is, it's the same platform. You make it a little bigger for bigger flakes, you make it smaller for smaller flakes. That's it. But the confidence is you're going to get confidence because you're going to think you're striking on a plane, but I'm going to show you that you just need to brush slightly higher than where the edge is at, so that way you get a slight bit of overstrike and it'll take the flake. Like a punch style flake. We're not doing this, okay? We're kind of coming into it a little bit, and then it falls at a different angle. It comes in and it falls at a different angle. We ain't trying to show off. We ain't trying to take great big flakes. We're not trying to keep flakes together. We're not trying to make tool flakes. We're just trying to learn to use a hammerstone. That's it. We don't care what this looks like in the end, and we don't care what our debitage pile looks like in the end. We're just trying to learn. I gotta bring this edge up a little bit, kind of isolate it a little. I'm gonna take the flake, it'll cut into this end more. Let's try that. Alright, using this for everything, even the braiding. See the dust that's, let me wipe it clean. Here's it before my braid. I'll clean the rock too. It's before. There's the rock. You can see it's giving off a little tiny sandstone dust, and then there's the platform. Alright, striking time. So let's talk about it in another video too, about how you need to use different parts of your hammerstone for different reasons. You want to take a real thin finishing flake. Maybe you want this more narrower, rounded edge for a brushing stroke. But if you want a punch flake, maybe you want this end or this end. If you want a thicker flake, because it's thicker on this end and a little thinner on this end. So I want to do something more like a punch flake on this one, because it's so thin right under the platform. Find the right spot. Okay, I'm going to show, you can see easily where that came off. So I'm not striking way up high to get this flake. I barely hit it. Alright, do it again. I'm going to go a little bit faster. Let's see, I just want to move over and kind of find one I can hit and take. So grind that platform, and ooh, that needs to. Might break if I don't do that. Okay, big, broad platform. It's not isolated. Okay. So, and I'm going to hit it, it's going to take some stuff off here. This will be a little bit harder. I like this spot on my hammerstone where I'm striking about the top, between the middle and the top 2/3 of the hammerstone. Not at the top and not way down here. Okay? So let's try to do it this way. Come on, move. See that one a little better. Brushing, I'm looking at the camera angle so you can get it. Okay. See, I hit that broad platform a little higher because you want to go. There's a lot of mass right there. There it is anyway. Like I say, that's not perfect. Probably hit a little too high actually. Let's look at that. Yeah, it hit. There's a pointy spot, right, and it hit the pointy spot. And kind of diffused the hammerstone a little bit and took the flake from higher up. More, you can see, look, it was like a lip flake. And you don't get those with hammerstones often. Okay, now something in here. So maybe we'll do something right along this edge first. Is there something there already? I like to just, when it's early, just try to, don't make a perfect platform. You just work around a platform that's there, but strike it at a different angle and hold it weird to try to get the flake you want. Oh, you get, so I'm going to take something along this edge. And if I hit this platform dead on, it's really more like this, and it sends the flake that way, and I want the flake to come this way. So I strike the platform, strange, I strike the platform kind of solidly in that direction, but pull here. Right there. Okay, now that's a perfect time to isolate. As you can see, there's nothing to strike in this area without creating problems. So you take little flakes to take a big flake. When you isolate, you take little flakes to take a big flake. And this is all kinds of weird, wonky angles aren't right. Let's see, I wonder if I could hit that. I bet I could hit that. This is broad up here on a ridge. Just I'll outline the ridge right there. See it? Make a mark right on it. So when you hit a ridge, there, it's spreads the force out too much, but look, right on the bottom it's wider than it is going up. So if I grind that spot at the very bottom and kind of round it off because it's sharp edged, then I can strike right there and get a flake that I want. Isolating just a little bit because I don't want the sides of my hammerstone to hit those thin areas where you took the adjacent flake. Alright, use a heavy part of my hammerstone, wipe it clean, and then mark it. You can see it real clear there now. So I'm going to hit on that real low spot. It's going to be just a hair above. That's where it'll come off. It's spreading out. See, I took a flake and it crushed it anyway. I wasn't able to get that sharp edge rounded enough right there at the very bottom. So let's do it again. So when you get to where you can't strike anymore because the angle's not right, then you recreate your bevel. So we just flip it over. We're just learning to use a hammerstone. I'm trying to do nothing special. So we're going to isolate it a little bit here too, by taking some flakes here and going in and in. Narrow part of my hammerstone like that. That. And I always look before I take the flake and after I take the flake, because I have an expectation for a size of a flake, so I hit it according to that expectation. Then I look to see if I got it, and then I'm also looking for the next flake as well. It's pretty rounded. Let me go over here. The cleaner bevel you make, the less you have to do this, flipping it and recreate it. Platforms by beveling again. Oops. Okay, now I'm gonna use a bevel on the end. So I'm gonna knock the cortex off and create a better bevel to try to do a little thinning from down there. That's a really thick cortex for knife river, I think, and that is not going to flake worth a crap. All I'm doing is just roughing it up. That's it. I'm just rolling my hammerstone back and forwards over that edge. See if I can I'm going to demonstrate it without really doing anything. See if you can see it. I'm just rolling it one side to the other, but using quite a bit of force. Now the way you can do it is like this, and then do this at the end. Yeah, it doesn't flake off with it. Crap, you gotta hit above it. Let's try to make this one clean just for show. A clean bevel. Nice even plane. If you're learning to use a hammerstone, this part might be a little bit more difficult, and that's why you have to take advantage of the platforms that are there. Let's see that. Right there, I kind of marked the ridge. It's rounded. And that's a ridge is just in the way whenever I go hit it like that, so I got to get it off of there. There. And that established that plane a little better. Really nice, actually. Just gonna leave it like that. One flake here I want to take. Probably don't need to take this one because it probably wouldn't take a flake there. On the other side, but it's narrow, tight in there. There we go. Ooh, I like it. Alright, so let's see if I can show this. There's my bevel. It's not too steep. Not yet, until you start taking flakes, and sometimes it gets steeper because it gets rounded. The flakes round at the end when you create a bevel, so as you go up, you typically have to flip it over and bevel it again. But there's pretty sharp on the edges, plenty of room to catch hammerstone. Kind of looks like an adze maybe from that end. So just trying to make a clean plane here. Just get it as clean as you can, and you can, it's good practice to make these bevels even. You could chew up this whole entire thing just practicing making bevels. And that will, it's not just practicing making bevels, that's not the point. The point is to practice using the hammerstone, controlling small flakes. Alright, so now, just like I did before, I roll this back and forth over that edge. I'm going to do that, but I'm going to use control. I'm looking at it, I'm watching, because, you know, I want platforms that I can hit. So I might take a little bit more off here, like I am now, and a little bit less in other places like that. But I'm looking at it with my eyeball straight down on where the hammerstone is making contact with the rock. I'm defining that edge. I'm looking at it and making adjustments. I might have to go this way if I need to. And you can see where the dust is forming. That's where I'm doing the work. So your platforms for hammerstones are, I want to say thick relative to using a soft percussor. But for hard percussors, typically the platform is the same regardless of the tool. At least on, yeah, you know, a large scale. You know, not something you can necessarily see with your eye, I don't know, but what I'm saying is, and I didn't want to use this word in this video, but if there are any copper nappers out there and they want to switch to using a hammerstone, then just remember that the platforms that you make for a copper bopper are going to be the same platform for, I mean, I don't know, I want to say 90 to 100% of it anyway, for any other hard percussor, a hammerstone, or I don't know, aluminum or steel, whatever people are making out there, or using, I should say. Alright, I'm going to clean that up so you can, and then mark it, so I think by grinding it, but that's it. Let's see, the edge is thick. I'm going to take a flake there, probably, maybe. You'll learn. You're going to look at a flake, expect a flake, take the flake, and then look and realize that you didn't get it. And you're going to eventually learn why you didn't get it, whether you crushed the edge or it was the angle of stripe or what. Anyway, that's it. I ain't even really looked on the other side to see. I just prepped a platform. I know how for, you know, that's going to work for hammerstones. So, all right, now I can look on the other side and see if I can take a flake. Let's see there, without having to do anything else. I think I'll take that one first. I'm going to hit it. I'm not going to hit it directly in line with that ridge because the platform isn't right. But I'm not trying to make the right, isolate, make the right platform like for Clovis. I'm just going to move over just a little bit and strike where the edge is thicker, and the edge won't crush when I hit it, and it'll be more than this. If I hit it straight on, it'll be it'll come off at an angle a little bit. I don't know where I pointed to it on the camera, but probably the wrong spot, but I'm going to hit it there for that. Let's see where it came off. Okay. So remember, not every flake has to be a big flake. So if you look at this, the next biggest mass that you need to remove, it's right there, right? But if you hit on that edge right there and try to take a big flake, it's just going to hinge and break. So we take a smaller flake. And again, I'm not hitting necessarily directly in line with that ridge because I didn't make a platform for that ridge. I just made a bevel, a continuous platform. Doesn't mean you can strike it at every millimeter along its edge, though. You can only strike in certain areas. So it's more of a smaller flake, and I put my finger underneath. This is more of an advanced technique, but I'm going to put my pinky underneath and leave it open for the rest of the way without any pressure on the rest of the flake. It should come off cleaner if you strike it right. Like that. It's just a blending flake. There's the platform. You saw I didn't hit it very hard at all, just a little brushing stroke. And okay, and it really, just those two flakes, look how it cleaned up it's got nice contour now. But we can still take flakes from it because that's what we're here to do. Just practice. So these will be shorter flakes. Now, so what I'm doing now is I'm reestablishing my striking platform, but not by creating a bevel again. I'm just everywhere where I couldn't strike before because the edge was too thin or whatever, I'm cleaning that up with small brushing strokes, and I still look underneath to make sure you're getting what you want and not doing a lot of damage elsewise. Oops, missed the hair. So I'm just brushing, I'm taking flakes, I'm brushing to create a platform. There was already one there from what made it earlier. And then just take those little blending flakes, because you blended when you created the platform, and you're also going to blend when you make this platform again. This is the second time now we're making it. So this is all good practice. Small brushing strokes to clean up those sharp edges on the delta of the flake, adjacent to where you just took the flake. Over to thicker areas and then a braid until you get an edge that's thick enough to hit. That's what we're after. An edge that is thick enough to hit. So a lot of times this can be established by scrunching or brush strokes like I was just doing, or you can do it even faster just once you get used to it. So now I'm just coming back and kind of refining stuff. Same thing, rolling around that edge where I need to get rid of the thin edges. And when you get rid of the thin edges, thick edges emerge. And that's where you're going to strike. That's all you're doing, is getting rid of all the thin stuff. And that's why this is so effective and you don't need carborundum. Is all you're doing is you're moving the tiny little thin stuff. Alright, I like that. Now I'm going to give it a horizontal grind. That's it. This does not remove very much material. I'd say for the same amount of force and the same amount of time, what I just did with sandstone, if you did that with carborundum, you know, with sandstone, I'm probably removing less than 10% of what you're removing with carborundum. That's why all the little small scrunching is important to do first. So anyway, I'll kind of clean it up and then grind it again so you can kind of see better where the strikes are going to lie. There. So without really looking underneath, I could see 1, 2, 3, 4 strike areas. And then when I look underneath, see if those match up. I mean, I could take a flake right now, smaller one there, maybe a big one there first, and this would just be a small blender probably, unless you remove a lot of mass over here and then do this last. So let's see, what do I want to do? I don't want to take the big one, so I'm going to take the middle one again, right down there. Just gonna, I mean, it could, this is one of those, because of the way the contour is, it could end and break right there, or if you hit it just right, it could actually go this far and get underneath that. I ain't expecting it. But I'm gonna hold my pinky underneath the platform, and you can't really see it, I don't think, but I'm not supporting any other part of the flake, just the stone itself. Look to where you want to take the flake, brush, take the flake, look to see if you got the flake. It did exactly what I said. I didn't think it would go underneath all of that. Really thin edge. Okay? Really thin edge. Not striking up on the plane. This is how you learn to use a hammerstone. I'm going to take a few more flakes. So, which one do I like? I'm going to hit this one, but I can tell that it's a little too sharp right underneath, and it might crush. So let me see if I can thicken it up first. 2 or 3 swipes with a carborundum, or maybe just one, and that would have been good to go. Nope. When I took that back flake, I messed it up. I'll show you. See if I can show you. It's really protruding out. It's a flat spot right on the end that's too steep. So that means you have to fix it. Now we take this flake from back here and we reestablish the bevel right there again. Got to get rid of it. You can't hit it. And then we do the same thing we were doing before, where you scrunch along the thin parts that's left over after taking your flake, and see what it's doing. It's creating kind of a notch there. It's right where it took the flake, and then it gets thicker next to that, and that's where you'll have an edge thick enough where you can potentially take a flake. Alright. Yeah, strike right there. To get something there. Put it back together. Here's where it came off. Okay. Maybe try to get one right here. Strike up the corner and tilt it a little. Off to there. Another little one. Smaller. Barely hit. Barely hit that. Let me show you the platform. It was really thin and on a ridge. I mean, I shouldn't say really thin. It had this indention thin near the platform right there, thin underneath, so I thought it might break. So I barely hit it. You see that feather? Just if you have flakes coming off like that, not from hitting the edge, not on plane, but if you have a flake coming off like that, then you're doing it right. Keep doing that. Yeah, I'll take a couple more here. I'm just going to thicken the edge and basically raising the edge up every time I do this. I already took those flakes I wanted, so let's see. Kind of isolated that a little bit where it was thick, so I could take a flake right in here. Strike it right. Let me show you where I'll strike it. Show it too well. It's that big dot basically, just a hair to the right of it. Probably means I need to grind that tiny little ridge with hair just to be sure it doesn't deaden my blow. There. See that a little better. This is a bigger punch flake. It broke, but anyway, it went to there. Real nice thinning blending flake, but doesn't matter, we're just taking flakes. You could keep doing that. Now I'm just going to do it kind of fast to end the video. Alright, I'm just going to use a bunch of thin brushing strokes. I'm using more force, using more downwards force and inwards force to try to get rid of all those thin edges that are there. I'm just blindly doing it. I'm almost even hitting it just a little, but my angle is steep and it really thickens that edge up. Alright, so once you do that, you just look at it for anything finite, all the sharp stuff that needs to get dull. Like right there, I had to fix that spot. And give it a good grind. And take some more flakes. Okay, and then now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do it slightly different. I'm just using this little brushing stroke. I'm just going to take small, thin flakes from this last one. So I made a thinner edge. Didn't do as much work to it. There's not much left to take on this bevel. Bunch of small flakes. You can also overstrike and remove material. And overstriking, just hitting a little higher on the plane, but not trying to send it. And just it ended right there where my fingernail is. Brush it, and then take a flake, and look at that. See? Hammerstones are freaking awesome. I'll make another one here in a little while.